ask all the law students to come down and do the second process. Is that okay? All right.
So I think one of the pleasures of working at Duke and at Duke Law School is that we are afforded the opportunity to work with kind of cutting-edge technology.
The robot has arrived.
As the Assistant Dean for Academic Technologies, I was naturally interested and involved when some of the staff, more or less the Digital First team, became interested in pursuing virtual reality as a tool. And so I was aware of it, but I wasn't directly involved in the proposal. I was very pleased to hear that the Duke Digital Initiative had funded a really very carefully designed collection of equipment that came in at a reasonable price to really produce some very high-end products.
For the last 2 years in the course, we've been experimenting with the Digital First project at Duke Law School, where our class has been one of the test classes to use the loaner iPad pool.
The Digital First initiative is based on iPad minis and what we call workflows, which are really just carefully designed procedures for using the iPads for tasks.
Our course is a 2-credit seminar called Introduction to Technology in the Law Office, and it's really meant to be kind of a broad survey of technological issues that are emerging in law practice that lawyers need to be aware of, making our students more conversant with the skills and tools that they'll need to use when they're out in practice, being aware of the ethical issues in using certain types of technology or not being competent in certain types of technology.
Includes email, security, privacy, using typical law firm software such as case management software, time management.
The amount of sort of ethics guidance that has come out about lawyers' competency in technology has grown a lot. Now more than half the states have a formal requirement that technology competence is a required part of legal competence. And so students are very aware that technology is an important thing that they have to know about in order to be a practice-ready attorney, but they don't always know what that looks like or what they should know by the time they're graduating law school. So we hope we kind of fill that need a little bit.
When we put on the lenses,
We wanted to present kind of how the 360 video and the 3D video could be used in the legal world. My question was, well, is it viable? Is using 360 3D video something that can be used in the legal world? And how can we present it kind of as a teaching tool to the students as to this is kind of the future of the law?
We designed some exercises that the students were meant to do, a discussion-based exercise where they looked at examples of evidence in 3 hypothetical scenarios that I came up with. And they were photo evidence, video evidence, and also the virtual reality video where they would look on the headsets and compare times and scenarios where each type of evidence might be more appropriate than the other.
What we did was something very similar to in-class exercises we do otherwise, which is we present scenarios, have them sit down in teams and discuss alternatives given the scenario, and then we have them report back to the whole class and we have a broader discussion.
Exactly. Just do both.
So that's what it was really meant to do, have a discussion of how high would the stakes have to be to make using virtual reality evidence worth it.
We wanted to put together a couple sample scenarios for you to compare how virtual reality evidence might compare to different types of more traditional evidence.
You know, what does virtual reality video give you that a regular video doesn't? Are there times when photos might actually be the best depiction of what's going on? Are there times when the angles just can't be captured appropriately by a still camera, for example? So that was really what I was driving at.
You lose elements.
We had the students discuss in terms of making presentations in a courtroom which would be most appropriate and whether there might be prejudicial effects, which one must always consider when using media in a litigation. And so I must say the students were most interested in the technology
it was the kind of that cool factor that really I think made it pleasurable for them. You know, for us it's a learning process, and we're getting better and better at not only shooting but also the editing part of it. And so that comes just really from user experience.
In seeing what could be done with an iPhone in a special visor in terms of virtual reality reproduction, the students concentrated mostly on what this meant rather than a very deep discussion of the pros and cons in terms of media.
Theoretically, the way that I designed it, I thought it could be incorporated into an evidence class. Like, that's a discussion you could have about admissibility issues, you know, representing the accuracy of a virtual reality video or creation that you've made. I think there's other applications that we could sort of branch out and see, and I hope we'll do that in the future.
I'm pretty excited about presenting the technology to faculty who teach in trial practice, teach evidence. Those are areas where it's just natural to think they could come up with scenarios where it could just play into their class. We can certainly change things up so the technology doesn't drown out the legal considerations.
By us catching it right at the beginning shows that we're willing to take risks at Duke. We are also willing to look into and use the newest technology. I think students really value that coming from a university, that we want to be leading edge.